We have a story today from Gript. Taoiseach, that's how they say prime minister in Irish. Taoiseach says huge numbers of single male asylum seekers still arriving in Ireland. And the author of that report is Fatima Gunning, and she joins us now from Ireland. Great to see you again. Thank you for taking the time. Congratulations on the increasing growth and success of Gript. I found this article funny because Taoiseach, which is how you say prime minister in Irish, he's the guy who's brought them all in. He's the guy who's opened the floodgates, and now he's expressing his surprise that they're not actually the young, the old, the sick, the poor. They're not women and children. They're single military-aged males claiming to be refugees. I don't know. It seems like a bit of a fake shock, like in that scene from Casablanca. Gambling? What gambling? Here's your winnings, sir. Why, thank you. It seems like a fake that he's shocked by this.
I think it is a little bit strange that he's, coming out now and saying that he said that 38 to 40% of the asylum claimants have genuine claims, which means that the majority are not genuine. And he said now that those people need to be kind of processed quickly and removed from the state, which by, I think, his own government's definition would have been a far right statement only several weeks ago. So I'm not too sure what exactly has changed to change Leo Varadkar's feelings about what is not far right, in some cases misinformation of what he would have said himself. So I do think that there has been, just to give a little bit of background for some of your viewers that may not be too familiar with what's been happening in Ireland over the past 2 years. But since the start of the war in Ukraine, we have taken in over 100,000 people, 100,000 Ukrainians, and then there's another 20-something thousand international protection applicants, asylum seekers, like would-be refugees. So our small country of 5 million, we have 5 million in the Republic of Ireland, has absorbed over 100,000 migrants in the past 2 years alone. And as I'm sure your viewers might be able to imagine, that has created somewhat of an accommodation crisis because, how do you accommodate over 100,000 people, practically speaking, overnight?
Yeah. I mean, a few months ago, there were massive riots in Ireland. And I know that sometimes when a town is targeted to receive hundreds of migrants, and let's say a building or a hotel is basically seconded by the government for that purpose, I know that in some cases they've been torched, right? Which shows the depth of dissatisfaction that people are driven to violence. I think it goes back to what you said earlier about in the past, how this Prime Minister Varadkar would denounce anyone who's critical of mass migration as far right or misinformation. I think it's terrified people. And so if they're afraid to speak out, well, then they go to other less peaceful means. I don't in any way condone violence, either riots or arson, but I think obviously ordinary Irish people are being driven to the edge by this plan that no one voted for, no one asked for. I know Leo Varadkar, the Prime Minister, or Taoiseach as it is in Irish, is one of those World Economic Forum young leaders. He's very globalist, he's very hip and fashionable. It feels like he's trying to punish Ireland for being Irish. That's the feeling I get. He reminds me a little bit of, I think his name is Joseph Humza, the head of the Scottish Parliament, who has given a speech showing his contempt for the Scottishness of Scots. I feel sometimes like Leo Varadkar hates the fact that Ireland is so Irish. Is that an unfair thing to say, Fatima?
I don't know if he does or not. I mean, he's a mixed race Irish person like myself. He's half Indian, half Irish. I'm half Pakistani, half Irish. So we have that in common. But I think perhaps, I don't know if the similarities end there. I look, yeah, there have been a spate of fires at buildings that have been earmarked or even rumored to be earmarked as accommodation centers for asylum seekers. Obviously, as you said yourself, that's it's a horrible criminal act. Like, in no way condone people setting fire to buildings. I mean, somebody could be in there, a life could be lost. And I don't think this situation is worth lives being lost. But He said that maybe some of the Irish people were doing that out of a fear of speaking out. When the Irish people have spoken out and have taken to the streets over the past 2 years to speak out about their displeasure about what the government is doing in terms of asylum seekers and refugees, they were flatly ignored. And worse than being ignored, they were labeled far right, racist, bigot, everything, every single name in the book. And I'm talking about by the Garda Commissioner, or the Garda Commissioner would be either the head of our police force, by almost everybody in government. We're calling the Irish people names. A recent poll carried in a paper called the Sunday Business Post. It's a Red C poll. It's quite, the kind of the official polling that will be used to gauge political moods in the country, show that 75% of the Irish people feel that the government has taken in too many refugees and asylum seekers. So are you really reasonably calling 75% of the Irish population far right? I mean, that sounds a bit ridiculous to me.